Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Crafting for Profit Live. We are the show that helps you turn your creativity into a thriving business. And today we're talking about earning money by turning your craft into a paid class.
So we are so excited to welcome today's guest, Naomi Garcia from EJ's Fun Crafting. And Naomi has built a business not just around making, but teaching others how to craft through classes and tutorials.
Now, this episode was pre recorded. If you're watching on YouTube, we are in the live premiere in the live chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop those there. If you catch the replay or you're listening to the podcast recording, feel free to drop down to the podcast notes or YouTube description. And we have a link to a form and you can ask us questions at any time. So, Naomi, let's get started.
All right. So, Naomi, let's start at the beginning. Introduce yourself and tell us when and how you got started teaching crafting classes. What gave you the first push to sort of try it?
Well, thanks for having me on. I'm Naomi from EJ's Fun Crafting, and I'm a teacher, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a maker, all the things. And so I'm always on the run, always busy, busy, busy. And I wouldn't have it any other way, honestly. And that's kind of what drove me into teaching my craft as a business. So, like I said, I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher since my senior year in high school. I was teaching, and I've just come through that, and that's been my main career all this time. I've been a crafter all my life too. I grew up crafting with my mom and my sisters. I got my first, actually, before I got a Cricut, I got a cuddle bug, guys. I don't know if you guys have a cuddle bug. I had one. Yeah. And so I got a cuddle bug end of 2016. Right after that, I got the Cricut Explorer Air. And so, I'm working around with that. I have six sisters, by the way, and my mom. So all my sisters, except for one of them, live here. At the time, lived here in town with us. So I'm like, hey guys, guess what? I found this really cool thing. And we used to quilt together before that. And who wants to get together and try some paper crafting? And my second oldest sister says, like origami? I'm like, oh girl, we're not doing nobody's origami out here. Not origami. I go, but you know what? Maybe. I had them all come to my house on a Saturday. It was the most amazing experience. Everybody was like, oh my goodness, this is so fun. So there's my mom, four of my five sisters that were in town, and two of my nieces. So we're all together. We're crafting. I'm showing them. They all get excited. Within a week or two, everybody bought cuddle bugs. And so then all of a sudden I became the cuddle bug paper crafter teacher. So every week we're coming to my house. My sister has this really stressful job. And so after her job, she made it a point. I gotta leave on time, guys. I'm going to my therapy. They thought she was going to like therapy. She's like, no, this is my therapy. Couple of months later, I show them my Cricut. I start teaching them because for me, having been a teacher, the easiest way for me and the best way for me to learn and to solidify something is to teach it to somebody else. And so that's how I really got into teaching, was forming a crafting group with my family and showing them and teaching them what I knew, seeing their excitement, and we just went on from there. That's how it started.
I love that. I had no idea that you had six sisters.
I have six sisters and five brothers, so
That is a lot of siblings. Holy
it
moly.
is. It is. And I fall in the bottom half. I'm number 9 of 12. So
Oh my goodness gracious. I just cannot fathom. I have one brother and I'm like, what? I got a sister-in-law and I was like, my number of siblings have doubled.
that's cool. But yeah, that's my story.
It's awesome.
So then I'm sure you moved on to online classes. Well, I know you moved on to online classes because I know about your online classes. So those classes, what did your first class look like? Was it very polished or how did you get started? I think I know the answer.
No, I didn't even know. I mean, it was like when Zoom barely came, people knew what Zoom was. And so we're fumbling through the whole class and people are talking over each other. It was okay, but it wasn't okay because I'm I'm an interactive person, and to show you how to do something, I need to get in there and I need to see what you've got going on and show, so having so many people, and I don't mind. I've had classes of 19, 22 kindergartners, 5-year-olds by myself, and didn't bother me. Give me 3 adults on Zoom who don't know anything about Zoom, and I'm like, man, we're throwing in the towel right here. So it was a difficult thing only because technology was, and I love tech, but technology was so different to the people who wanted to learn. So that was where I did struggle at first.
I feel like that speaks to all of us who kind of started our jobs online in the early days of the online, right? Angie and I have both been doing this forever as well. So it's like trying to get the tech part of it has always been a struggle, and it's gotten easier, but it definitely, in the beginning, things were rough.
I can imagine. I can imagine, and I agree. And it's not just, the tech of it, but when you really want to see the physical product, or people are like, well, can you do that again? And you're thinking, okay, if I had a physical class, I can come and show you and move these people on right here, let them go to the next step. But when we're online, how am I going to manage that? How am I going to help you individually while not getting, off on a tangent over here with, letting these people over here lose them? It's really hard because I'm used to giving in-person classes. I love doing in-person classes, but yeah, that was different. It was very different.
It does go to show that you don't have to be perfect to start, though, for our audience, which is a lesson I think a lot of people struggle with. They wait for that perfection before they get started with a crafting business, and you're never going to reach that perfection. Like, we're not there today. And I've had a YouTube channel since 2010. I'm not at perfect. I will never be at perfect. So I think that's holds a lot of people back from this type of business. Teaching a craft class, they're like, well, I'm not going to be perfect. I don't know the technology. It's kind of a learn as you go and jump in head first kind of situation. A lot of times, that first one is not going to be perfect, but it's going to be good enough.
If you go into it and your class knows hey, I'm fairly new to this, but I would really love to get into it. I need your feedback. Let's make this fun. Tell me what I could do better. Just make it like an interactive, between you and your students. I feel like that works really well too, because then the students aren't like, why can't she do anything right? It's like, okay, she's learning and we're all learning together. And as crafters, we're constantly learning new things and failing and doing all this stuff. So I think that, just bringing along your students on your journey as well is a great way to do it.
I think so too.
All right. So what is your preferred method of teaching now? So you taught your sisters in person. I know you've taught online. You've taught at our different camps. You teach, on YouTube. You're just everywhere. But now, do you like going live? Do you like filming pre-recorded content? Do you like teaching in person? What's your favorite now?
That's a good question. And when I was thinking about it, I'm like, man, this really this is me all over the place. I don't like the live Zoom classes. I have to say that because of all the reasons we just talked about. I love in-person classes because, like I said, I get that personal, we can get this. I do struggle with social anxiety a lot of times. And so the hard part about the in-person classes for me is that when I'm done, I'm done. And I'm like, your hour and 45 minutes are up. I need you to leave. I mean, I would never say that out loud, but
I totally understand that.
And I've come to love live online as long as, I can interact with you while I'm talking to you and I can show you the craft while I'm doing it. That kind of craft. I love that. So I love going live on Instagram. I don't mind going live on Facebook, even YouTube. But my most favorite, it's so crazy and I didn't realize I liked it until I started doing it a few years ago, is pre-recorded, where I do my pre-recorded class and I have it ready, and you can respond in the comments later and I can answer you if you have a specific question. But I really like those because we can build on them. And there's a lot to be done with those. So kind of like everything except for live. Except for Zoom.
Yeah, I feel like Zoom is, especially if somebody's crafting along with you. If you're
Mhm.
teaching something and they're just learning, that it's not nearly as difficult as if somebody's like, I have all my supplies. Can you help me connect my Cricut? And you're like, that's not part of the class. Okay. And you're panicking because you want to give everybody that one-on-one time. But it's very hard.
Yeah, you almost have the technology of the platform you're on, but if you're trying to teach someone to use a machine, you also have the technology of that machine to go wrong. So yeah, I've had tons of people ask me about Cricut lessons, either individually or small groups. And I'm like, I just don't know how that even works because it's just so hard to troubleshoot someone's tech issues from far away.
Yeah, especially if you just aren't there with them. You're like, have you turned it on? Have you restarted it? You feel like the weird IT guy, just like, have you restarted
And
your
you're like, you have a Windows computer? I have no idea.
idea? Right, exactly. There's just a lot of things that can be difficult teaching like an actual crafting class. I mean, I think there are ways to do it, and I think there are people out there who do it really well. But
Mhm.
I do agree that it's the most difficult of all of the choices.
All right, let's talk tools and platforms because we're talking video classes here, and videos need hosting. Like, that's the number one thing that you're going to have to learn if you decide to host crafting classes. So, what platforms, tools do you like best? And maybe which, I mean, if there's any you don't like, give us those too.
Okay, so I know we talked about Zoom, and I mean Zoom, great. Everybody knows it. Almost everybody has access to it. It's okay. Facebook groups are okay. They get kind of clogged sometimes, and that's kind of difficult. And then going through it, and you get comments, you're like, "How old is that comment?" Or "What are you even talking about?" So those are hard. I've done Teachable. Right now, I'm working on a new platform that just that's getting going, and it combines several different tools together with the Funnel Queens. But Teachable, I think, has been my as far as just classes go, that's been where I've been able to house things because I have tried different things. Like we said, I've tried putting things on YouTube on a private channel, putting the setting to private. And to me, that just took a lot of time and a lot of effort trying to, okay, how do I make sure I keep this separate from this? And what if I accidentally put this to go live? Did I include the right link when I sent that out? So I think something standalone like Teachable has been the best for me.
That's what we use as well. I feel like it is not the cheapest, but again, you get what you pay for. And I think that Teachable, based on, I mean, I've used a few others as well. Podia,
Mhm.
Clavio, I looked at. I used Thinkific for a long time. But I really think that Teachable, while not perfect, it definitely hits most of the things that if you want to teach consistent online classes. I think it's one of the best ones.
And I do know that YouTube is playing around with allowing courses on their platform. So you will like basically make a playlist and it will be a course and it can be like a free or paid course. I have been able to play around with that a little bit. I mean, they're working on it. It's a work in progress. It's okay. But like a lot of the platforms we're talking about are paid, like Teachable. I think YouTube is going to take a portion of what you charge for the course, which I don't know. Like it's do you pay Teachable up front and know what you're going to pay, or are you going to pay every time someone purchases the course on YouTube? I don't know what the answer is. It's a tough question sometimes.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Because it also goes back to what you said in the beginning, Angie, about we don't start sometimes because we're waiting for everything to be perfect. And that's where I was when it came to my online, taking my online the summits I've done or different things and making those into online courses because it's like, well, where am I going to build this? Where am I going to put this? And I want this laid out just perfectly. And it wasn't until I said, stop, Naomi, fine. You start with your little three things and Teachable. Like you said, it can get pricey. Start with a base, build from there. At least in the meantime, I'm getting the feel of it. I'm seeing what it's like to have online courses available. So I like that you said that.
Yeah, and there's no perfect platform. Like Corey said, like we've tried several. I have tried several. All of them had little glitches or things you wish that were different. There's none that's perfect. And some of
Hmm.
them, like Teachable has some weird things for our students that I don't personally like. But another one is not going to be perfect either. So just start, pick a platform, get started. You can move it later.
I think one thing we haven't mentioned that I don't know, I feel like it's something we should mention is that we can, with online classes versus something like a YouTube video, online classes you can then sell forever or however long you want to keep it open. So, for example, I have a class on Teachable about like doing your personal brand, like your personal branding for your small business. And I just sell it. And it just continues to sell. And I don't have to do any additional work. And that's really nice because it creates that, yes, you do the work up front, but then it creates that nice passive income, going forward.
So, do we want to do a quick commercial break?
Let's do it.
Okay, so every once in a while, we like to mention our merch shop just so you are aware that yes, we have merch. So for all your merch needs, head to link.craftingcamps.com/merch and you can find cute shirts, hats, mugs, stickers. If you're crafty, you are going to find something in our merch shop.
My particular favorite is we have a shirt that has a heat press on it and it says hot stuff. And I feel like this is absolutely my favorite shirt that we sell. It's so stinking cute. So if you want a hot stuff shirt, hat, mug, all of the things, go ahead and head over to link.craftingcamps.com/merch and check it out.
That's one of those shirts you have to wear in the right audience so they get it.
It's very specific, but also it's very cute.
But very cute.
So I talked a little bit just a minute ago about sort of selling your course, but let's talk about pricing. How did you figure out what to charge for your classes? This is just one of those things where it's like, we all struggle with pricing. So how did you decide on pricing? Give us some insight into that.
I'm still figuring it out. It's difficult trying to find that spot. We talked a little bit earlier before the show started about finding the right audience. And I think with pricing, the biggest thing is it's internal, because until we know, and this is what I've been told, because I do have trouble with this, until we know the value of what we have, we're going to keep undervaluing it. And I'm not saying that we need to charge like hundreds of dollars for, let's be reasonable. It's subjective, but it's about knowing your audience and knowing who do I want this for. I know I'm not going to be able to get people to purchase at the same price for some areas that I will in others, or for some demographics. Some demographics are more willing to pay for a certain course. And so that's what I've learned too. I can take almost the same course. And this is more in person, but also online, right? I can take the same basic concept and charge differently depending on what my target audience is, my target demographic. And not that I'm going to give them less or give them more, but they're going to get a different view. And I'm going to have to give a different part of myself for that particular demographic. That's what I found out. So pricing can be subjective. It's hard. I do look and see what's going on around me. What are other people charging for similar courses? Of course, we don't want to price ourselves out of the market, but I don't want to come in so low either. I used to do contract bidding for my dad's company, and that's what I learned. I want to come in so low that I get the bid, but at what cost? I'm not making anything off of it. It's kind of a game, but it depends on what do I want out of this.
It's a little bit different too when you're pricing a digital course. The money aspect of it's just more nebulous than it would be if you were pricing a physical product, right? With a physical product, you're like, it costs me this much for the mug and this much for the tape and this much, all the different things for the packing and the Etsy listing or whatever it is. It's like you could actually mark it down. But when you're just like, I made a video, it's just very hard. At least I think it's very hard to price things. And sometimes it's like, do I want to price it so that it's sort of a premium product, so it's a premium video and you're going to get a lot out of it? Or are we aiming for some quantity not over quality, but like, are we aiming to get a lot of people in because we want to get those people on our list and maybe, be able to upsell them to something else later? So Angie and I have something we're working on for the holiday season this year. And we've been talking about the pricing on it. How much do we want to charge for this? It's going to be a handful of videos and a bunch of files. And it's like, do we want to charge more, which is probably what it's worth? Or do we want to charge less to try and just reach a bunch of people that would then upsell to some of our other content? So it's definitely much more nebulous, like I said, than pricing a physical product.
If it's seasonal, you also have to take into account like the season. And like we're like, the holidays are going to be coming up. So people are going to want to save for that and not buy this thing we're working on. So it's like, it's all these factors. And another thing you can't do, like you can with physical products, we mentioned Teachable is expensive, but we can't take the cost of Teachable and divide it over however many mugs we make, because we don't know how many classes we're going to sell. We don't know how much it's going to cost us per class at all. So it's a very difficult thing to make sure you're covering your costs, because you have no idea. You're going to have to make the investment and the cost of this before you ever know if you're going to make it back.
Right. And the other thing, when you also we're saying that reminding me just where do I want this to enter at? Like Corey said, do I want this to be not just a premium, but do I want to be able to scale up and then add on and maybe add this to another bundle? Or, where do I want this to play? Is this something like a one-timer thing? It's just a one class, or can I build on it? So that has a lot to do with pricing a lot too.
Yeah. Where is it in the funnel? Like, is
Mhm.
this to get people in the door to like our ecosystem of things that we sell? Or is this something for established customers who have, done our lower value offers? Now they're like, I trust them. They know what they're doing. I will spend a little bit more money and buy this course or whatever. So I do feel like there's quite a bit of play when it comes to pricing. I mean, I've have classes priced at $9 and I have classes priced at $49 and our summits go up to $99. So I mean, like there's a really wide range of price points.
Running a live or virtual class, I mean, it takes energy. How do you prep before your class? How do you make sure students feel engaged, supported, whether it's a live class or even pre recorded? Like you need to make sure they're engaged. So, any tips and tricks for that?
Okay, so my pre-recorded ones, I'll do that first because that's easiest. I try to make sure I do those on a day where I'm okay. I have a schedule. I try to plan ahead. Doesn't always work out, but I try to give myself that space so where if I wake up and I'm already on battery B when I wake up because battery A never charged overnight, then I know it's like, oh, maybe we'll just work on a different part. So I try to make sure I prepare my house. I prepare my kids. I have this, but those closet lights that you hang up and you can turn them from red to yellow to gray. I have one outside of my craft room area. And so when it's on red, they know they can't come in. So,
I
you
need
know,
that so bad.
I love that idea so much.
Oh my
I'll
gosh,
do
I
it.
really need it.
I had to do a video on it, a
You
quick little funny
should.
reel or something. But yeah, I have that. I put it up. They know. And I'll hear them pacing outside sometimes, but it's like they know that red light's on. They're not coming in here. So I make sure I have my area ready. They're prepared. I give everybody a schedule. At the beginning of my week, I'll send out a text to my family, to my kids and my husband. This is what I have going on this week. So they know that time frame as well. So hopefully it's a day that I'm feeling okay, that I've scheduled. I come in, I do a little hype. I hype myself up before, I talk to myself, I do my little hype dance. Okay, we got this, we got this. I start talking to myself as if I'm giving a class. And so I try to picture myself in the class already. So that's what I kind of do because I don't want my videos to come off as fake, but I don't want them to come off as boring either. Nobody wants to watch a boring video, you know. And so I try to prepare myself for that, you know. If I'm doing a live class, almost the same thing. I make sure within the week, even if it's not physical, and it's funny because my husband has told me before, I haven't, don't you have something to do tomorrow? I haven't seen you prep. Don't worry about it. I got this. In my mind, I've prepped for over a week, I'm sure. So I have everything and I know where everything is. I have everything ready to go. So then I'll go in, I'll set up, I'm ready to go. And on the way to, if I'm driving, whether they're coming here or if I'm driving there, I'm pumping some music. I've got whether it's Steely Dan, Earth, Wind and Fire, or something else, I'm like getting myself in there, right? Because I need to go in pumped up. I need them to know that I'm happy and excited to be there with them. So those are a few things I do.
I love that. I do the talking to myself before I film thing all the time. I do it in the shower. Like I'm like giving my little YouTube video spiel in the shower. I don't know. But I think once you start doing videos, you'll end up talking to yourself a lot more than you did before.
Well, I often tell people, they're like, what do you do for a living? I literally talk to myself because there's just me and a camera. So I talk to myself.
Sometimes you talk to me.
Sometimes I talk to Corey and Naomi today, but most of the time I just talk to myself. It's fine.
And it's okay. And guess what? Sometimes we answer ourselves too, but how can we answer other people if we don't answer ourselves first?
Right? I mean, there's questions out there. We got to be asking them.
I feel like that's hard in the beginning to have that conversation with yourself once you turn that camera on. So like some tips and tricks for the start of this, if you're getting started, is to imagine there's someone you're talking to. Because I mean, I don't necessarily have to do that now, but in the beginning, I had to imagine like my person behind the camera and actually be talking to them in order to get any sort of emotion into my voice. Now I can just do it, but I feel like in the beginning, it's really hard to talk to a camera a black camera with a lens on it and not just have zero emotion. So just in the beginning, try to envision someone because it makes it a little bit easier to, kind of be a little peppy. Like you said, not fake, but positive and peppy.
I imagine that I'm doing a live. That's kind of how I go at it. I imagine that there are people watching, and that, I'm like mentally imagining what their questions might be as I'm filming, because then I can also answer those questions. But it took me a long time to get there because I hated it in the beginning, just staring at a camera and trying to be like, hey, friends. It was just brutal.
It's like the biggest hurdle, I think, because people are like, I'm going to do this. And then they turn the camera on. They're like, nope, nope, done. Nope.
So another thing I did with that, I don't know if you all have seen my videos with Mrs. Craft Lady and D. So I invented another character. So I'm Mrs. Craft Lady showing people what to do. But then D, because my middle name starts with a D, I just named her D. She's the one who doesn't know anything about Cricut, anything about crafting. And I came up with that when I first got on TikTok. I was going to take the TikTok program. And so I started having these conversations with myself with these characters. And I'm actually both of them, right? So it's, who am I right now? Am I Mrs. Craftley or am I, and so that helped me a lot too, to be more natural and to, okay, what are people asking? Okay, when I'm D, what did I not know? I didn't even know how to use a paper cutter. Okay, so I'm going to teach somebody how to use a paper cutter in this class, and so things like that, little things like that help a lot too.
Yeah, I think it's just having a more active imagination as you go along. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of practice. I don't want people to think they can do this overnight. I've said this in other episodes. The first many times I created a video, it involved a lot of crying because I hated how I sounded. I hated how I looked. I could never remember anything. I'd forget to charge my microphone. I mean, like, just so much went wrong when I first started my YouTube channel. And this could be for anything. And so it's one of those things where you're like, you just have to go into it being like, I might suck a lot for the first couple of these, and that's okay. But I think as perfectionists and as women especially, we want everything to be perfect, and it's just not going to be, guys. All right. We talked a little bit about your first Zoom class and how it didn't go very well. But have any other teaching moments kind of helped you shape how you teach now? Have you just other things you've experienced that have really shaped how you are as a teacher?
Be more anticipatory. So I'm anticipating my students' questions because I've had classes where I go in and I made a I made a reel about this too, not a couple of years ago, where you've got the one student who's like, well, the lady on YouTube said, I'm like, well, I'm not the lady on YouTube, but I can't say that, I'm like, okay, well, no, yeah, you're right. So anticipating, those questions have helped because that can get, I feel I just get real hot. Like I feel myself like sweating and like, oh man, what if I tell them something wrong? Because now in my head is what YouTube video is she talking about? What lady is she talking about? Jennifer Maker? Of course, I'm not going to be as good as Jennifer Maker. Oh man, did you see Angie's video? Angie's like awesome. Okay, I don't know. So just anticipating that and prefacing things that I say and slowing down in the moment. Because once I get going, it's like, okay, I'm just gone. So just making myself slow down, taking a deep breath and thinking about things before I actually say them. And doing more explaining, doing more showing than talking, I guess, is what's helped me a lot in my classes. Because when I try to talk through it a lot of times, I get nervous sometimes, and then I feel like this is just going really badly. But if I show them or turning it around, okay, well, show me what are you talking? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that technique. Can you show me what you mean? And then, a lot of times that kind of, well, no, no. You can do it the way I was just wondering because I just saw this other lady. I don't know how she did it, but I saw this other lady do it like that. So not comparing myself, but at the same time, not devaluing myself based on other people because that can get really hard, especially in a live class and in the moment.
Yeah, I think when you just don't know what you're thinking, like all of a sudden your brain just goes bloop and it's just completely blank and you have nothing in your brain. And I think after a while, you get better at sort of filling that space with, at some points, just chit chat. But Angie and I have gotten quite good at it over the years to be able to fill
I
the
can
space.
fill any amount of time at this point.
Angie and I always joke. We're always like, we have an outline. Yeah, we're going to talk for an hour. It's fine.
You did mention slowing down. And that was my flop. My early videos, I talked so fast. And still, some people say on the podcast that I talk fast, that I'm like, seriously, you should listen to some of those early videos then.
I definitely talk too fast, and I have to like really slow myself down. I have a giant sign actually. It's not on my computer, but for my actual filming, it says slow down.
I think I need to give me one of those because I do go fast and I tend to listen to other podcasts and other videos on 1.5 speed because that's me. I'm like, let's go, let's go. I got, but if I go back and listen to myself, I'm like, oh, poor people.
Sorry, everyone. I speak at 1.5 times speed.
So you might want more this to points negative. No. But yeah.
I don't listen to anything below 1.6. If that's to be at 1.6, people are talk way too slow.
I was this is like a total not related to anything, but I thought it was so funny. So Angie and I both listen to a lot of audiobooks, and we listened to them very quickly. And so I hopped in the car with my mom, and she had NPR on it, and it was just like, this is NPR. It was like the slowest talking ever. I was like, oh my gosh, do I need to speak like Scott Simon? And like the slowest ever. I don't know how he trained himself to speak so slowly. But yeah, it just cracked me up because I'm so used to listening things, sped up that regular NPR speed was way too slow for me.
That's funny. Thanks, so funny.
All right. This is a tough question, I think. So what's one thing you wish more crafters knew about getting paid to teach what they love?
That you can get paid. I didn't think I could either. I gave away so much, and I don't mind giving away the free information here and there, but when I made it a business, I realized, in talking to people like Angie and Corey, like talking to you all and other professionals, it's okay to get paid to teach what you know. I mean, knowledge is a commodity and you need to learn it somewhere. I mean, we all pay to go to college. We all pay to get certain things. We still pay for things. And it's okay to charge for what you know, if that's what you want to do. That's what I want people to know.
I don't know if I have anything to add to that. Well said.
It was very well said.
I was like, I don't have anything to add to that, Naomi. Very good.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
All right. Before we go, Naomi has a special offer for you guys. So do you want to talk about your ebook, Naomi?
I do. So I have an ebook. It's called 9 Easy Sublimation Projects That You Can Do Without a Printer. So it's super cool for people who really want to get into sublimation, but are not ready to invest in a printer or even a heat press. These 9, they're super easy. Even kids can do them. Of course, there's supervision required when it comes to the heat source, but it's using things like sublimation markers, infusible ink sheets, sublimation ink, like from Artistry and such. And it's really cool. I had a really great time doing it. The ebook is available for download right away. And just so you know, there's probably going to be individual videos that will be added to the ebook as a course, speaking of courses. So if you really want that, you might want to get in on that now.
So for those of you who don't know, sublimation is generally a printer craft. Using a heat press, you print out a design, you use a heat press to apply it to something, but you do need a specialized printer. Doing sublimation without a printer is really fun because you can use things like sublimation stamp pads and ink and all sorts of different things. And Naomi's like the queen at doing these types of projects. If you've heard of sublimation, but you're like, I don't want to invest in all of that, here is a great way to get your feet wet without having to spend a lot of money.
And is this coupon code right? You're offering it for $6 off?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So head to link.craftingcamps.com/Naomi, and that's NAOMI. And the list price is $15, but you can use coupon code CFP825 for $6 off. That makes it $9. If you ever want to try sublimation, don't have a printer, grab Naomi's ebook.
Do it before it goes up, because once I put those videos in, the price goes up, but you'll already have access to them.
That is awesome. All right, Naomi, thank you so much for joining us. We love having you on this podcast. We love your energy. It is just so fun to have you on here. I think a lot of people are going to walk away from this episode being like, oh, maybe I can actually teach classes. Maybe, I can teach in person, or maybe it's time to start that YouTube channel, or maybe I'm just going to do quick Instagram lives. Whatever it is, hopefully people see that their knowledge is worth something and they can teach classes, to get paid.
And now I have to go buy a light for outside of my craft room. So thank you, Naomi, for joining us. All right. So if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a quick review. We'd love to read all of your love notes on our podcast. And if you have a friend who keeps saying, I've always wanted to teach a class, or you have that friend that you're like, they should teach a class because they do such a great job at teaching me how to make these crafty things, then send them this episode right now. As always, thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time on Crafting for Profit Live.